In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to apply a custom statistic to a set of data generated by Rguroo's random generator. This tool has the capability to simulate a random sample or samples from a variety of distributions. From the Probability Simulation pane, select Probability and then click on Random Generator. This generator allows you to create any number of random samples of the same size from the same distribution. By clicking on the Distribution dropdown, you will be able to select a distribution and then specify its corresponding parameters. The sample size text box determines the size of the random sample. This will be the number of rows in the output table if no statistic is selected. And the replications text box is the number of samples you want to create. This will be the number of columns in the output table if no statistic is selected. Let me give you an example of how the random generator works without the use of a statistic. Let's simulate 20 rolls of two six-sided dice. From the Distribution dropdown, select Discrete Uniform. The minimum value on a six-sided die is 1, and the maximum value is 6. For the sample size, type the value 20 to simulate 20 rolls, and for replications, type the value 2 since we want 2 dice. Scroll over and hit the preview icon to see our simulation. The column labeled Sample 1 is the value that was rolled for the first die over the 20 cases, and the Sample 2 column is the value that was rolled for the second die. Did you get any doubles? Now your results are probably not the same as mine. That's because every time you run the random generator, the simulations are going to vary. Now let me shift gears for a moment and show you how you can apply a custom statistic. Let's imagine that you wanted to roll a six-sided die 2,000 times. We would expect the number 5 to show up approximately 1/6 of the time, which is roughly 16.66%. Now let's show how we can perform a simulation to get an approximation of the exact probability of 1/6. By scrolling over and clicking on the Simulate button, you will reopen the Random Generator dialog box. For our sample size, we are going to have 2,000 rolls. And since we only want to demonstrate this with one die, let's change the replications to 1. To reproduce my exact results, you would need to set a seed. Let's set our seed value to one of my favorite numbers, 22. Now click on the Custom Statistic button. Custom statistics require you to define a function in the text box to the right. Each function must be written in proper R syntax as a function of x and only have a single value output. Click on the green plus button to add a statistic. Type cumsum parentheses x equal 5 and then close parentheses. Let's view the result of this custom statistic. In this example, the output shows that the number 5 was rolled on the 6th trial, and a second 5 was rolled on the 8th trial, and the third on the 24th, and so on. Now let's modify our statistic by clicking back on the Simulate button and then reopening the Custom Statistic dialog box. Hit the green plus button, and this time we're going to title this new statistic Proportion of Rolling a 5. Copy and paste our first custom statistic, and then add in \c parentheses 1:2000 and then close parentheses. Now we're ready to hit the preview icon again. This output shows the proportion of 5s that have appeared up to a given trial for the trials 1 to 2000. To see a graphical display of this result, let's save this dataset to Rguroo and title it Law of ln, standing for Law of Large Numbers, as this is a simulation to demonstrate this law. Now go ahead and click OK. Notice that we have two save options available to us. By clicking the Save As button with the green random generator icon, we can also save the settings from the random generation dialog box in the Reports section of the Probability Simulation toolbox. Click OK, And now scroll over to the Plots toolbox on the left-hand pane. Hit Create Plot, and then scroll down to Scatterplot. Select the dataset, Law of Large Numbers, to load in our custom statistic outputs. Our predictor is the function 1 through 2000, indicating the roll number or the trial number in our simulation. Our response variables can be selected from the drop-down list. Go ahead and select proportion of rolling a 5, and then hit the line checkbox so that we may superimpose a line for a better visual. In the label section, let's title this plot Law of Large Numbers, and the x-axis as number of die rolls. Finally, click on the Details button and scroll down to the Attributes of Scatterplot's Points, LS Line, Low S, and Identified Points tab. And from the Points Line subtab, unselect the Show Points checkbox. Now we are ready to hit the preview icon and see our results. This visual demonstration makes it very easy to see that after rolling a die 2,000 times, we would expect the number 5 to roughly occur 16.66% of the time. To further explore various types of R syntax used for creating a custom statistic, we invite you to visit www.rdocumentation.org. To learn more about the different distribution parameters for a random generation, please reference Appendix A from our user guidebook. And if you would further like details and examples of how to use the random generator, we also encourage you to reference the chapter, Random Generation.